Please welcome Mr. Alex Lifeson.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. All right, shut up. Thank you so much. It's really awesome that we get to get together. We've all been on a long journey together, and it's pretty cool that we're at this point with Geddy, with his book. I guess you've read the book? Yeah. We're going to have a great time tonight. We're going to have lots of great stories, and I'm going to ask Geddy now to please come out and join me in my show. Come on. Yeah, come on.
Hello. Hello. Have you met my friend here? Have you met my BFF? Now, don't make me cry before we even start.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Hello. You haven't felt this love in a while.
No, it's amazing. It's amazing. And on this stage yet.
That's right. When were we here first?
I think the first time we were here was almost 50 years ago, 49 years ago.
Yeah.
1974, November 74.
Yep, opening for?
Nazareth.
That's right.
Yeah, see? I have a good memory.
This is great tonight because, you know, there's this thing called memory, which I've learned a lot about. And looking back to write about your life, you have memories of, excuse me, I'm talking. We have memories of certain moments, and we've talked about this, how we'll be in the same room experiencing the same thing, but we have different memories of that thing because our memories are imbued with our emotions, and we remember things differently. So tonight is like heaven for me because we can fill in all each other's gaps.
Yeah, mostly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Good night.
Yes. Thanks, Lex.
Shall we sit?
Shall we sit? Let's sit. So what do we do now? What do you want to talk about? We've only been together hanging around with each other for how many years?
I know. Well,
we were what, 14, 15?
13, I think, when we met.
13.
Yeah.
We were 13 once.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're what, 42 now? So
that's perfect.
It's been 20 years.
Yeah.
I hate math.
And yet you still seem so well preserved.
Yes. I do drink a lot of formaldehyde. And
do you remember the first time you ever saw me?
It was at school. It was a junior high at R.J. Lang.
That's right. Yeah.
In North York.
Yeah.
I think you were being beaten up at the time, and I was running through the woods to get away.
So you were helping as usual.
As I often do. Yeah, but I think it was at R.J. Lang in the hallway.
I remember the first time I saw you was in R.J. Lang, and you were wearing a purple and white paisley shirt with a fink hook on the back.
Fink hook. Yeah.
And I befriended a chap named Steve Shutt. Do you know that name? And Steve and actually I was very thankful to befriend Steve Shutt because, if you recall, he was a budding young hockey player even back then, and very well respected by everyone at the school. And at the time, I was one of the kids that was bussed into R.J. Lang from the new suburb, which was mostly Jewish kids. And they weren't taken too kindly to Jewish kids at that school, so whenever we walked from the parking lot, the bus to the school, it was a bit of a gauntlet we had to kind of run. And for some reason, Steve befriended me, and because he was such a cool guy, people just left me alone after that. So thank you, Steve. I was very grateful for that. But more importantly, we connected about music. And he used to say to me, you see, we both bought bass guitars at the same time. There used to be a band in Toronto called the Poppers. Do you remember the Poppers? You probably don't. You're way too young. But they had this bass player, Denny Gerard, who both Steve and I really admired. And after we saw them at North York Centennial Arena, we decided we both needed to play bass. So we both took bass up. Didn't work out for him. But he had this hockey stick that he really knew how to use.
Yeah, and you were a shitty hockey player.
Yes, I was. So. That's true. But I was very good at skating on my ankles.
Yeah.
Aside from that, so as I got better on the bass, he said to me, you have to meet this guy, Alex. I can't pronounce his last name. I think it's Eat a Sandwich. I think he called you Alex Eat a Sandwich.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, that guy, the blonde guy, yeah. And so he introduced us, really. And that's history.
Yes, they say.
I mean, we wouldn't be sitting here making bad jokes if it wasn't for Steve. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't have a Stanley Cup ring, though.
No, we don't. And he has
one of the things.
More than one.
Yeah, he does. So we ended up being failures, but Shuddy got it done.
Shuddy won the cup, eh?
He won the cup and the car, the whole thing.
That's right.
It's a good machine, huh?
That's a good machine. You shoot the puck in the corner, and then you take the body.
You score the goal, and you get the car.
That's right. Exactly right.
Yep.
Oh, there's people here, too.
Oh.
Sorry. I forgot for a second. It's really unusual that Alex and I should be... I don't even call you Alex, but I'll use a proper form tonight.
Okay.
That Alex and I are sitting here without at least a glass of wine in front of us.
Or a guitar.
Yeah. Oh, that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
do you remember the gig that we played here? I guess you probably don't. Do you remember the gig? No.
Which gig do you mean now?
When we played
there was
here,
only 1,000.
the first time with Nazareth.
With Nazareth, I only remember I was really nervous backstage before we came out because I had come to this building to see so many bands as you have.
Yeah.
I sat right there to see the Cream play in 1968, right in that balcony, and so many bands. So I was the honest of the place, the awesomeness of the place really did freak me out a bit before we came out.
Yeah, exactly the same for me.
Did you feel that way tonight when you came out here?
Once you barged into my dressing room.
That was my dressing room.
I know, but...
You're the opening act.
I was thinking of those gigs, and, we played here so many times and been here so many times, like you say. I know I sat in that first row, in the first balcony for so many shows. But when we recorded our first live album here, I remember how exciting that was.
Yeah.
Because really, playing here with Nazareth was nerve-wracking. We finally got it to Massey Hall, but doing our first headline gig, and it was a really exciting time.
And the tape machine was rolling. And when the tape machine is rolling, you get tight. It's just a fact of life.
Sure.
And so every tiny mistake you make in your brain is amplified, like error starts flashing.
Yeah, so quickly, make another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that feeling really, really well.
You're good at that. You're really excellent at that.
Yeah.
So what are you going to ask me now, Big Shot?
I don't know.
You're supposed to ask me about my effing book.
Oh yeah, your effing book.
Yeah.
I did get to read his book.
You were the first person.
I got an early copy. I think Ed wanted to make sure that he got his stories mostly right.
I just wanted to make sure you didn't hate me afterwards.
Yeah, and just to read it. And I got to say that, and I'm not just saying this because you're here.
Okay.
So I'll look the other way. But I loved the book. I really loved.
Thank you.
I mean, obviously, I'm connected to a lot of the stories when we were kids, and your place, and of course the band and all of that. But I found that I was laughing out loud so often reading the book, and I cried. And I was just so focused and mesmerized by some of the stories and the flow of the writing itself. I didn't know you were that talented.
Well, I'm glad you felt that way,
Yeah.
because it was very important for me, obviously, that you approved of the work, because you're all over it.
Yeah.
You know, my story has you sitting beside me through most of it, right?
Yeah.
And even today.
Even today.
Isn't that amazing?
It is
really.
amazing. It is amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. You know, it's
So it was very important to me that you felt I had done right by you, but more importantly, us and the story of our band and
Yeah.
the life together, especially through the great years, which were fun to write about.
Yes.
You know, writing about 74 and 75 and traveling across the country in a station wagon and sleeping on baggage and waking up, and you were in the front seat beside Howard, who's here tonight, and was driving across the country, and there's all these corkscrews and knives sticking into the tar of the car somehow. Or the story of us driving 3 hours the wrong way to Cleveland on the highway because we maybe smoked a few too many joints. It's possible. Has been known to happen. So those kind of stories were so much fun to remember.
yeah.
But when we got through the difficult years, of course, and after '97, when tragedy struck Neil's life, and dealing with some of that, I had to be very respectful and delicate, and I just wanted to make sure that you felt that way about how it was written. And of course, telling the story of the last number of years, because many people
Yeah.
really don't know what went down in those years. You guys remember the last gig, August of 2015, but there was stuff going on, obviously, through our own feelings
Right.
about how the band ended,
Right.
and then dealing with the news of Neil's illness.
Yeah.
It was harder to write that stuff.
I bet it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were very emotional times.
Yeah.
I know in that tour, the tour was so great. You know, the whole construct of the tour was just so much fun.
Yeah.
You know, going back from the previous tour all the way back to the beginning and the stage, reflecting that change, and it just worked so beautifully. And I thought we played so well on that tour as well.
I thought we did as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Maybe they did too.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because a lot of times, and this happens, I think, with a lot of bands, the audience is so caught up, especially if they're fans, they want to hear the music, they love the whole experience of being there, and they just take it all in, and it's great. And in your mind on stage, you go, that's one of the worst nights I've ever played. I made so many stupid mistakes. You know, you're so critical.
Yeah, well, especially you, right?
Yeah, no, when I'm thinking about you guys, but I never wanted to say anything. So this is a good time to really get it out.
Get it off your chest now.
But I thought on that tour we had more really, really good nights than, those sort of lumpy nights.
Yeah.
And I know towards the end we just became sadder.
Yeah.
That it was coming to a close. And I think if we'd done maybe 20 more dates, something closer to what we were doing previously, it would have been a little more satisfying, but I think we both felt sad.
Well, yeah, and I was trying to write and explain to these folks that as we got closer to the end, and really for the first time in our whole history with Neil, we were of two minds. You and I were getting, as you said, sadder, but Neil was getting happier because he had made this decision to retire, to spend his life with, his new family, and that's completely understandable. But we couldn't help but be affected by the fact that something was coming to an end without really wanting it to come to an end.
Yeah.
And so the last gig was strange, and I don't know how you remember it, but my memory of the last gig was that, we were in the dressing room and it was kind of tough because we knew we might be going out there for the last time, even though we held hope that Neil would change his mind in 2 months, maybe get bored of being home and come back. And his dressing room was like ebullient. It was a party. It was a celebration of a career. So, and then we had this after party, and a lot of our friends were there. But I kind of felt like I was going through the motions at that party because my emotions were so mixed. I don't know how you felt.
Yeah.
And then we never talked with Neil afterwards.
Yeah.
And then we just went our separate ways. And I remember the plane ride home the next day was not a joyful plane ride, but partly because we stayed up most of the night drinking, but that was a whole other story.
Yeah, and I threw up on those shoes too.
Was it these ones?
Yeah.
That's why they're this color.
Yeah. They used to be white,
hell.
I think. There was a lot of wine that night.
Yeah. Anyway, the aftermath of that tour was odd because we were working on the video for our 40, and yet we weren't really communicating with Neil. And I tell this story in the book how I had listened to the drum solo he had chosen, and I was so blown away by it that I just decided, fuck it, I'm going to write him and tell him that. So I wrote him this email and said, hey man, I don't know how it's going for you there, but we're just working on this film, and I wanted to know which night you used for the drum solo because it was so perfect. You really hit it out of the park. And then he just opened up. He wrote me back, and he just opened up about, his frustrations, about how he thought he had built this great drum solo, but nobody had ever told him that. And I thought that was such an odd thing that he still needed reassurance from you and I, even though we just took it for granted that he's fucking Neil Peart, that he knows how amazing he is.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So, and then he wrote about the fact that he was the librarian at Olivia's school, and this was making him really happy.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, what the fuck do I have to be resentful about? He has earned a new life. He earned it, and I have no business harboring any resentment for the way it came.
Yeah.
We got 40 great years together. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So I don't know if you were feeling the same way.
I think you felt a little more strongly about it. I think I was disappointed and saddened by it, but once we got some distance from it, I started to feel better and finding other things in my life, and I was still playing and still interested in writing some music and working on some music. Did a couple little projects along the way for that year afterwards. But then we found out that Neil was ill, and then it was an enormous burden to keep that a secret as he wanted.
It really was.
And you felt like you were lying to your friends or anybody ever
Well,
asked.
we were lying because
it seemed like it. So I guess we were.
Yes, we were. We were actually lying.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to remember that it was very important for Neil for no one to know about it.
Yeah.
He took that decision, and we had no choice but to respect it and and choose loyalty over honesty. And I really believe that was the right thing to do, as difficult as it was. But at first, he was. You can clap. He was given 18 months at best, and yet he was such a bull, such a strong guy that he lasted 3.5 years. So who would have expected, to have to carry on with that charade for 3.5 years? And after a while, it became hard. It became difficult.
Yeah.
So when he did pass, which was terrible, and shortly afterwards, we came home, and I was left with these feelings of grief that were mixed with all kinds of emotions. And that's when the pandemic hit, and suddenly we were locked down, and I was very aware of my mom, for example, who was really struggling with dementia. And so I was in a real funk.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you were during that early part of the pandemic, but for me, it eventually drove me to write and to look into my past to try to write this book after being spurred on by Daniel Richler, who's my co-writer and good friend, and yeah, Daniel. And he started writing me short stories about his dad, of course, the great Mordecai Richler. And he would write a short note and he would say, "Why don't you write a memory? Write it back to me." And so I would write a little short note, and it became a sort of a way to kill the time in lockdown. But mine, of course, got longer because you know me, I like to talk too much. And he said, "I think you're writing a book, and I think you should write a book." And I said, "Okay, as long as you help me." But that process was really healing for me and cathartic for me, and I needed to do it for so many reasons like that. But you seem to have this resilience, this brighter outlook that I was always jealous of, you know, that you could, you know, take these cataclysmic moments and put them in perspective more quickly than I could.
Well,
how do you do that?
I'm a very shallow person. And I just, I move on. You know, this is the...
You're shallow and empty and have no ideas and nothing interesting to say.
Yes,
is that what you're saying?
That's me, completely. This is why we always worked so well together, because you are that guy who's very methodical. You've got to do everything, you've got to know everything that's wrong before you know that it's right, and you go through a process. And I'm the opposite of that. Not that I lose interest, I just get impatient, and I want to get on. Yeah. And that's why we work well together in writing. You corral me when I'm like that. All the good stuff comes out very, very quickly, and then I'm sort of...
Yeah, well, this gentleman is a spontaneous genius. I mean, you really are. I don't know how many times... I don't know how many times we sit down to jam, and he plays something, and I'm like, "What the fuck is that? Wait, stop. That was amazing." And he'll go, "What?"
Yeah, I don't know.
I go, "No, that thing you just played. What thing?" You know, that thing you just played, those 8 notes in a row were a brilliant cluster. And I go, "Oh, okay." And if I hadn't recorded it and played it back for you so you could relearn it, it would be gone to the ether.
I know, so many times like that.
Yeah, but that's who you are. You're just innately creative, and it comes out in wonderful bursts. And I've been fortunate enough to sit beside you with a tape recorder all these years and to grab those bursts. And then my job is to try to add my 2 cents and harness it, and then off we go. And I think it's worked out pretty well for us.
Yeah, it has worked out, Yeah, thank you for... Thanks a lot for coming on my show. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Do you remember opening for Hawkwind?
Oh, I do remember opening for Hawkwind. I remember the last show that we did with Hawkwind.
Why don't you tell these fine folks about the last show?
Well, you know, they were kind of a hippie band of the time. And they were, you know, sort of a jammy. The material was very much like that, jammy, and they sort of trip out on their stuff. So, I know on the last show, we just thought it was appropriate to give them a gift on that last day as we were moving on. And I enjoyed creating these small aircraft for Zone Airways. Where I'd use 9 papers, and maybe.
Now, what was the essence of these little aircrafts? What was inside the little aircraft?
Well, I'm getting to that.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah. The essence was they were going to get you there. So I would create these little aircraft with, as I said, the 9 papers and I don't know, 3/4 of an ounce of pot, maybe.
Yeah, pretty much.
It was a big,
You know,
this big fuselage.
This was a...
Talk about a jumbo jet.
This was a rocket ship.
Oh, there it is. Oh, my God, yeah. I loved making those things. They were so much fun. And of course,
there's a rocket.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, well, that's one of the rockets. Zone Airways.
Yep.
And
there's what's remaining of that first rocket.
Yeah, see, gets you there.
Yeah. And then here's one in flight.
Yeah. And it was great
at Toronto Sound Studios.
Yes, that was a location for many air crashes.
Yes. Yeah. Bravo, you're so creative. I mean, come on. Who could do that? Anyway, so continue.
I mean, this is back in 1974 where it was very, very illegal, and we were playing in Oklahoma City with them, which was even 10 times more illegal and dangerous.
Yes.
And it didn't seem to faze them at all, because I remember we presented it to them in their dressing room. Thank you so much for having us on your tour. I said me there for a second. Thank you. Thank you for having us on your tour, and all of that stuff. And then we presented it, and they were like, "Oh, wow, that's awesome, great!" And they lit it up. Yeah, this was supposed to be for some other time.
Yeah, and they smoked it before they went on stage, like the whole rocket ship.
I remember standing at the side of the stage, and they're playing. Right. I don't remember the guitar player's name, but he was playing, and he at one point he put his head back like this. I'd stopped playing for about 5 minutes. And then he snapped out of it. It's like, yes.
Yeah, and then we went to the airport. Yeah. It was like mission accomplished.
Yes. I was proud of that moment.
That's a great memory. Yeah.
There were a few like that.
Yeah.
We certainly when we were making some records, that was
Caress of Steel.
That's the way we kind of finished the session. We went on a flight.
Do you remember making Caress of Steel?
When you say remember,
do you remember how much hash oil we smoked making Caress of Steel?
Yeah, that was the thing then.
Yeah. I remember months after we finished the record, listening to it and thinking, where'd all the reverb go? I thought we put a lot of reverb on that.
Yeah, but no.
But I just wasn't high anymore, so
no.
It just sounded very different.
No.
Do you remember the time we played it for Paul Stanley?
Yes.
So we were kind of proud of this record, even though clearly it was very weird. The Fountain of Lamneth and the Necromancer, and we were opening for Kiss, and we took them. Was it in the bus or in the dressing room or something? No, we didn't have a bus.
It was in our Funcraft.
Our Funcraft.
Yeah, because we had the table.
Yeah, that's right. And so Paul came in and we sat down. We were proud of it. We played him the record, and boy, did he look confused.
Yeah. I mean, he was really nice. Yeah. But he looked really scared and confused.
Yeah. And he said, "Well, I hope this all works out for you."
Yeah.
I gotta go.
Yeah. It's really an album. Oh, thanks.
But we were pretty lucky. I mean, there were only a few bands that gave us a hard time when we were opening. And, even Kiss, in the earliest days, they were really good to us.
Yes.
And it was very rare in those days to get even a sound check. And as we learned, opening for Aerosmith for like 2 months, where we didn't get a single sound check.
Not a single.
But Kiss did everything they could to make sure we got a sound check.
Always.
So that was, a good lesson in professionalism.
Yeah. That stayed with us.
Yeah.
Who else treated us like shit? Let's see. There's Aerosmith.
Well, only at first.
Only at first. And at the end.
And then later.
Yeah, and in the middle as well. And then years later, again.
Yeah.
So
that was okay. They were doing their own thing, man.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Are they doing a book tour? No, I don't think so.
Oh man, I love you.
I love you too. We laughed a lot.
This has been going on between us since we were 13. I mean, if you guys were not here, nothing would be different.
No, it wouldn't be. We'd be laughing more, actually.
Yeah, we were sitting in the dressing room remembering all kinds of crazy, crazy things just before we came out here. And it's just like that. I'm so happy we have this volume of shared memories, you know. And I was really happy to share some of them in the book. But there's so many.
I know.
I mean, we're so fortunate.
Yeah, we really were.
That we...
Or are. Are?
Yeah, I are.
Yeah.
Yeah, still are. And I think when Neil joined the band, we discovered kind of a fellow traveler, you know, because he had a great sense of humor and he fit right in with us. And after the first few weeks, which were strange, because let's talk about his audition. Shall we talk about his audition?
Great. I was going to bring that up.
Okay. I'll keep my feet over here then. So, John Rutsey, our first drummer, was a very good drummer, different style of drummer. Solid, not histrionic drum rolls, but really a good, solid drummer. And he had sort of more simple rock and roll tastes. And we were starting to write and be influenced by bands like Yes and Genesis, and we wanted to make our music more complex. At the same time, we had finished our first album, and there had been some problems making that record. And John, who was supposed to be in charge of writing all the lyrics, on the night we were supposed to record the vocals, he didn't show up with the lyrics and tore them all up. And we only found that out the next day, and I had to write the lyrics really quickly. So clearly, we were at a kind of crossroads with him. And I think he also, because he was diabetic and he had some health issues, health concerns, I don't think he wanted to do this tour that we had planned.
That's
so
right.
Suddenly we were without a drummer. So we held an audition. Now, I had never been to an audition before. Had you?
Not for Rush, no.
So, I love asking him questions. It's so good. And so we held this audition. We didn't know what the fuck we were doing, but we agreed that we wouldn't make any decision till we heard all four drummers.
Oh, four.
There were four.
Were you one of them? No. I remember three, but
You remember three?
Neil, Jerry Fielding,
and
the guy with the orange hair.
Yeah. You remember the color of his hair?
Yeah.
I thought there was a first guy that I had no memory of him.
Well, Jerry,
he was the first guy.
He toured with us. He
played.
He filled in for John for a month or two.
I know, I was there.
Oh yeah. Oh. I recognize you now.
Yeah. So Jerry came first.
Yeah, So Jerry was a done deal, and then Neil, and then that last guy came. Remember, he had a little Volkswagen Bug.
No, I don't remember
Beetle?
his vehicle.
Yeah, and he had his drums and he brought them out and he set them up. I think he had his kick, a snare, a floor tom, and one tom.
Yeah, he had a simple kit, and he wrote charts for all the songs. But the best part of it is we finished. Jerry left.
Yeah.
And this Ford Pinto pulls up.
Right.
And this guy, he's not wearing a shirt, he's got short hair, and we're laughing at people with short hair.
Yeah.
Look how short his hair is. This guy's a fucking
He doesn't even have any velvet pants.
And so he hops out of the car, bounds out of the car. He was a big, lively cat. And he pulls out these green garbage bags that have drums in them. And he brings them in. He sets up a kit that's made out of there was a Rogers kit with two small 18-inch bass drums. And he's setting it up, and Alex and I are looking, who's this fucking goof, man?
Yeah, this is not going to work out.
Yeah,
maybe just put them back in the garbage bags and get out of here.
And so he tunes the drums, and then he starts playing like triplets.
What a show off.
Triplets that wouldn't end.
Yeah.
And I'm really smiling. I'm really excited now because I knew this is fucking magic. And so I start talking to him excitedly, but you weren't happy about that.
No, I was like, his hair is pretty short.
And I was breaking the rule. I was talking to him like he was already in the band.
Right.
And we played through the songs from the first album, and then we played that bit in 7/8 that eventually became the song Anthem. And he had no problem playing that. I mean, he was just killing it. So I was sold, and you were like...
Yeah, at first. But as the day progressed, because if you remember, he came relatively early in the morning, I think 11-ish. And we were there... Well, you know...
We're musicians.
Yeah, really. Yeah, what's the matter with you? And we were there till 11 at night, which was still pretty early.
Did it go that late?
Yeah, we did go that late.
Wow,
because I think they had a curfew there for 11 o'clock. You know, the whole day we were talking about everything. World events, literature, music. Yeah. We smoked a joint, we had a bite to eat, we played, took a break, played.
I remember, Neil, thinking that you didn't like him because you didn't want to talk about it. And it wasn't until that very polite drummer that followed him where you kind of went, okay.
Yeah, well, that was...
that other guy was probably better.
Yeah, well, I knew he was better, and I knew he was great, but I wanted to wait and see. What if the next guy was great as well, but had long hair? You know? So, you know, you never know. And that was the deal, right?
That was the deal.
We had a deal, Wade.
I broke the deal.
That was my deal, Wade. So
I broke the deal because it was fucking Neil Elwood Peart playing our songs.
Yeah. But then he was that guy.
Yeah.
So
he was that guy.
But once the audition was done, and we decided, it felt like he was in the band.
Yeah. And then the next week, he came down, we started rehearsing, and then we went to Long and McQuaid's here in Toronto.
Yeah.
Because we'd gotten our very first ever advance from the record company, and we could go shopping. And so he wasn't even in the band for a week before he got his pick of any drum kit. And I got to buy my Rickenbacker that I had been dreaming about for years. And you bought a Les Paul, I think?
A Les Paul and Marshall amps. Like,
was that not the best day
That was
ever?
the best day ever.
I mean, it's like we won a game show or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Like if you're a musician and you're young and you go to a music store on the weekends or whenever and you just drool, and then eventually after you stop crying, you leave. and maybe come back a couple hours later and go through that whole process again. So to be there and actually have money in our pocket to buy the equipment that we were drooling over.
It felt like it was their money, but it wasn't their money. It was our money.
Yeah.
We didn't realize that an advance means an advance on royalties. So it's really was our cash. So.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like it.
And not at the time.
And it was great.
It was awesome. I remember, honestly, I can remember the showroom where the gear was set up. Yeah. It was a sunny day. It was late afternoon. Like, clearly remember the whole thing.
Yeah, me too. And I remember looking at that Ricky bass. I don't know how many times I'd seen one of them hanging on the wall. I never thought I would own one. So, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was big. And then a week and a half later, we were on tour together with this new guy. The new guy. And, I remember us, the first couple of gigs, we didn't really know him, but he had a great sense of humor, and we were laughing a lot. And we also had another new guy, Howard, Hearns, who's here tonight. Let's hear it for Hearns. Who was our tour manager, and he was an American. He was a New Jerseyite from America, I believe.
That's right.
Yes. And so this was a real education, And the first gig was in Pittsburgh at the Civic Arena. I remember we flew in on an airplane and everything, taking flights instead of driving. It was amazing. And then it was the first gig, opening for Uriah Heep. and Manfred Mann's Earth Band.
Yeah.
And we had 26 minutes to play.
Right. It was a new venue, that was a brand new arena that had, you know, a retractable roof. Yeah. And we got there, we were so excited, and all the dressing rooms were here, and whoever came out and said, "Oh, no, your dressing room is down this hall." And after about an hour and a half of walking down that hall, we got to the little tiny dressing room.
Yeah. But it was still great, and there was booze in it.
There was actual bottle
alcohol,
of
like
there was a bottle of Blue Nun, I think, and
some Heineken.
Some Heineken, and a deli tray.
And wow. my half bottle of Southern Comfort.
Southern Comfort.
Which I ordered for, I don't know why, but Howard was saying, you know, you can get booze on your rider, so you should order some booze. And I don't drink spirits. I didn't really know what to order, and I had read that, you know, a lot of the cool rock bands.
Janis Joplin. And you kind of look like her, so, you know, it was natural. It was natural for you to, you know, want to drink.
And so before we went on, I took a shot of this stuff. Yeah. And I was dizzy for the whole 26 minutes we were on stage. I was just like, huh? It's over? Wow. And that's really the tour we got to know Neil.
Yeah.
And we saw this alien in our midst. And we were like, he reads a lot. Maybe he wants to write the lyrics.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, you think he does?
That would be great.
That would be great. Yeah. So we said, hey, you, whatever your name is, you want to write some lyrics for us? I think it was something as simple as that.
Yeah.
And
we want to give you a job.
And then I think the first song he wrote was Beneath, Between, and Behind.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, wow, there's really a lot of words in this song.
There were a lot of words in that
We better
song.
write a very fast song to go along with it.
Yeah, because that's easier for a singer.
And it was, you know, I listened to that song, and for the longest time I thought, this song is too fast, this song is too fast. But I listened to it the other day, and, you know, it holds up. It sounded okay.
Yeah, it's a cool song, actually.
Yeah. And, you know, the song is about, obviously, America, and he was just, you know, channeling all the experiences we were having as a young band.
Yeah, and that's how he continued throughout his whole career as a lyricist.
Yeah. He got pretty good at it, I think.
He was not bad. Yeah. He did know a lot of words. A lot of words, of course, you eliminated from the songs in the early process.
Yes.
For good reason. By the way.
Yeah, but I thought him and I developed a pretty good relationship with lyrics.
Yeah, for sure.
I had to express his thoughts, and I had to make them my own.
And put them in the context of a singer.
That's right.
That's the other thing, a rock singer. Because I know his lyrics could sometimes be very, very deep, like very wordy, and sometimes not easy to get the essence of.
Right.
Maybe too complicated or complex.
Well, I mean, we had to talk about it.
But that's what I mean. Yeah. You guys talked about it, and you would filter them in a way that they sounded like a song, like lyrics to a song instead of from a book or something.
But as we grew, as you know, the three of us as writing partnerships, you know, I thought he, right from the get-go, was pretty objective and ego-free when we had something to say about a lyric that he'd written. And I remember him saying, well, I was happy just to have written it if we didn't use it, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I would have been so magnanimous back then about a part if he didn't like it. But we spent so much time in such close company and so much time laughing together that when it came to work, those things worked themselves out pretty easily, didn't they? Yeah. I mean, it was pretty remarkable. And he became very open to any suggestions I would have to move, you know, one part of the song here or whatnot to change the lyrics, and he was happy to go back and work it as long as he didn't lose what he felt was important about the song's theme. And that was really a beautiful thing to be involved in a partnership like that. So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
I remember the first time we went to Europe, how awesome that was. I think in 1976 was the first time we went.
Yeah.
And went to the UK and Sweden, and we were like we were inseparable in that whole time. We were constantly on the go, late at night, early in the morning.
Yeah.
When we were in Japan in 1984, remember we didn't adjust to the time. We'd get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and meet downstairs and then go out in the streets and walk around in Nagoya for 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah. It was great fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, lucky.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, grateful. Yeah. What do we do now?
Geddy, pardon my interruption. We're not getting any younger. Could you wrap it up now, please?
Oh.
Did you know God was British?
That's God? Sounds just like Daniel.
I think...
Okay, I guess we gotta...
Maybe I should read something.
Well, that'd be great.
Now, I have to ask your permission.
Sure.
I have to, because I can read a couple of different excerpts, but one of them might be a little embarrassing for you. Are you okay with that?
I've never done anything embarrassing.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to do that. You wait here. I'm going to go read for the folks.
All righty.
This is something I call pressures of being on the road. It takes place in 1978 in England. It was our second English tour, and it was touring the album A Farewell to Kings. Our star continued to rise in '78. A Farewell to Kings was generally well received, and Closer to the Heart even broke into the top 40 on UK radio. Who knew? That was the year the Glasgow crowd blew us away singing along with the chorus. The first time anything like that had ever happened to us. We played 2 nights at the Apollo there, a classic old theater built in 1927 with Corinthian columns and a severe rake on the stage. Now, in thespian parlance, a raked stage is one that's tilted toward the audience. Hence the directive, put that down stage left, where I'm standing right now, and where I've pretty much spent my entire life. It was also really high, 15 feet, 6 inches to be precise, so that if you stood at the edge, you almost got vertigo. At face level opposite, there was a balcony that had been built to bounce up and down. And I can tell you those Glaswegians knew it. Many bands who had played that place have testified that when the crowd put the bouncy balcony to the test, trampolining with all their might, you stood there in fear that it might surely collapse. The great advantage of playing 2 nights in the same venue is that the crew doesn't have to pack up and load out after the first show, giving them a night off and us a rare opportunity to unwind together. And so it was on a February night in Manchester in 1978 that we convened in the bar of the Piccadilly Hotel. For a while, Alex had not been very happy. His second son, Adrian, had been born the year before, and he was missing home big time. Out of the blue, he challenged our stage manager, Lurch, a towering man, 6'11" in height, and with a tough constitution, to a cognac drinking contest. Now, cognac is usually around 40% alcohol, and it's for sipping. No one in their right mind knocks it back in shots, but I think I counted 12 rounds. Soon words were slurred, voices were raised, and when a clearly plastered Lurksty triumphantly slammed yet another glass on the table, he shattered it. I looked at Liam, his roadie, and Howard, our tour manager, and said, I think you better get him to his room. So they put their arms around him and suggested it was time for bed, not least because we had another gig to do the following night. Those of us remaining in the bar had a laugh about it, and then decided enough was enough for us too. But as we were waiting for the elevator, the doors opened, and out flew Alex, lying prone on a room service cart. Cue more lunatic laughter, and once again, Liam and Hearns rounded him up and escorted him to his room, which was next to mine. Sitting on my bed, I could hear shunting and crashing through the wall, like he was moving furniture around. I then heard him yelling out to the street, "Hey, England, you guys are stupid. They're all living 1,000 years ago. Hey, you, can you hear me?" I opened my window and leaned out and said, "Lurks, buddy, go to sleep. It's late. Go to sleep now." Dirk, can you believe this? These people are living 1,000 years ago." "Yeah, Lurksty, I know, but come on, close your window." I closed mine and I began undressing, but he kept calling my name. And then I heard more smashing sounds. He'd torn down the curtains and was soon leaning out his window, tapping on mine with the curtain rod. Dirk, don't go. Open your window." Half naked now, I pulled back my curtains when the pane cracked apart, showering my room and me with splinters of glass. I looked down to see a 3-inch triangular shard stuck in my tighty whities, about an inch from my effin' manhood. Gingerly, I removed it, and then heard scuffling in the hallway and hubbub all over the hotel floor. So I tiptoed over the broken glass to the door and looked through the peephole in time to get a fisheye view of a nearly naked Alex running down the hallway with Hearns and Liam chasing after him. They were just hustling him back into the room when 2 security guards charged out of the elevator and banged on his door. He opened up, the curtain draped over him like a gauzy toga, obstinately denying that he'd been making a disturbance. He slurred and said, "Well, I just don't give a shit." And he spat on one of them. Yeah, we all cringed, mortified. Hearns did his best to placate them, earnestly apologizing and promising to sort it all out. He urged them to talk it over in my room, but when I opened the door, there for all to see was glass strewn across the carpet. Somehow, Hearns got them down to the manager's office, reassuring them of our normally upstanding character, and promising to pay for the damages, and saved us from being booted out in the middle of the night. While I curled up under the blankets in that room, with no window, splinters everywhere, and fell asleep as the cool February air rushed in. The next day, poor Al was so embarrassed and humiliated, to put it mildly, and even though we knew it was just one of those things that happens when a person's at breaking point, in a fragile state, we left to do our second show, and when we returned, he went up to each and every employee, shook their hands, and apologized, like a good Canadian boy. Perhaps because he was so sincere, they were more than cool about it and even promised to welcome us back next time we were in town. But the following morning, we still left Manchester with our tails tucked between our legs. Thank you. Thank you, and you. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. Thank you for being a part of My Effin Life. I appreciate it. Good night.
like an hour